Hello. Another episode of Truth and Freedom. It's been a long time. I plan on doing, I plan on doing more shows now that it's getting warmer out. It's a gorgeous day out, and today I want to do a show on breathing. I've been studying, I do a lot of breathing myself, and I've been studying this a lot. And I'm studying Kriya Yoga, and when I say that, I'm not studying from a guru, but I read reading a book called Kriya and Yoga, and I'm learning Kriyas and do breathing. And one of the things that I like to do is I like proving a lot of what the ancients said and proving it scientifically, because now we know that a lot of the things that the yogis did and a lot of the Buddhist monks and the Tai Chi masters and all these people as far as breathing goes, totally mechanically, biomechanically, biochemically, is proving to be true. So breathing, the extreme importance of breathing to health. That's probably what I'm going to title this. Or the importance of breathing in health. And so I do my breathing exercises every day. Sometimes twice a day. Because I do 2 meditations in the morning and in the evening, and then I do a little afternoon one sometimes too. But why is breathing important, and what does it do? Now, first of all, one of the things that we're doing wrong is we're breathing through our mouth. The mouth is for eating and talking. What we need to do is breathe through our nose. And here's what's interesting, and I'm trying to make this one not too long. But here's what's interesting. When you breathe through your nose, feel where that breath's coming. It's coming down like this. So think about it. If you're breathing through your nose and not through your mouth, are you going to be able to, unless you're talking to people, are you going to be able to infect the people around you with the pathogen? No, because it's going down. Whereas with the mask, you're still getting, the physics of it, it's getting sprayed around. And even if you breathe through your nose with the mask on, it's gonna ruin the fact that it's just going down, and it's gonna move it kind of out. It'll still go down, but it'll move it up a little. Some of the breath will go up, so some of it will go out, and then So anyway, the point is that what we should be doing is mandating proper breathing. If you want to do anything, tell people just not to talk and breathe through their nose. But anyway, so what are some of the things? Let's start with this. What are some of the things that breathing in general, but nasal breathing. There's the nasal breathing, there's the biomechanics of breathing, and then there's the biochemistry of breathing. So those are 3 aspects, but what are the benefits of it? Number 1, the nose filters the air. So in our nose we have cilia, and what that does is it protects us from pathogens and we'll get down to that's one of the benefits, but from pathogens and particulates. So that's one of the things it does. It filters. When you breathe through your mouth, you don't filter anything. Plus it comes in dry, the nose moisturized. So it filters the air, it humidifies it, which I just said. It conditions the air. It removes particulates, as I said. It helps remove pathogens. And also it gives huge amounts of nitric oxide, which in and of itself, outside of just the other things that breathing does to help fight pathogens, in and of itself, the nitric oxide that you're creating within the body by proper breathing, it actually helps fight particulates and pathogens in and of itself. You can also supplement with nitric oxide, which I do, but that's not what this is about. Proper breathing pressurizes the lungs. Proper breathing increases oxygen delivery. It increases ventilation and perfusion. It increases lymphatic drainage. It dilates the throat during sleep, which can help with sleep apnea and other sleep-related issues. It improves spinal stabilization. You're strengthening those core stabilizers, which is what the diaphragm is. And of course, you want to breathe through your diaphragm, and we'll get a little bit into that. I'm going to give you some breathing exercises, which there are thousands of breathing exercises. I'm just going to give you some, since the topic's breathing, that you can look up yourself. You can look up other ones yourself if you don't like mine. And so improves spinal stabilization. It stimulates baroreceptors. It reduces negative pressure in the upper airways during sleep. It stimulates the vagus nerve, which is very, very important. It says the stimulation of the vagus nerve can increase. It can actually help lower the heart rate and engage the parasympathetic nervous system. Proper breathing improves heart rate variability, improves alveolar function. It improves functional movement, and it achieves calmness of mind. So those are just some of the things that, some of the benefits. Proper breathing increases circulation and other biomechanical functions that are important to health. Proper breathing is also important. Well, I said biomechanical. Breathing through the nose. Here's another thing. Breathing through the nose increases oxygenation by 20%, which means you need fewer breaths to actually get the proper amount of oxygen to your body. It also vasodilation increases, so that's very important. Circulation increases. Also, there are various techniques. So you can also become more carbon dioxide tolerant, so to speak. So with doing certain breathing techniques, you can become more resistant to high levels of carbon dioxide, which is very interesting. So we do about 12 to 20 breaths per minute. The average person does 12 to 20 breaths per minute and 25,000 breaths per day. So, a better number to be at is 6 to 8 breaths per minute. I can actually do a breath. I can hold my breath on the inhale after the inhale for about a minute and a half. So I could probably at this point do 8 breaths in 10 minutes if I wanted to. I haven't tried it. I used to do about 11 breaths in 10 minutes. That was about a half a year ago, but I've improved. So those are just some of the things. We're supposed to be breathing through our nose. Here's an experiment. So James Nestor, who I got a lot of my information from, and his book is, I don't know him, but I'm going to tell you what his book is so that you can verify everything I'm telling you, because he actually did some studies at Stanford, and he read some other studies, and I'll give you some of those. But it says that, so his book's called Breathe. It's called the New Science and the Lost Art, Breath, the New Science and the Lost Art, because the ancients knew this stuff, and now, we think the best thing we can do for our health is inject something into our body, and if that's what you want to do, everybody should be able to do what they want to do. But to me, I would rather make my body healthy and not have to put chemicals that, I'm not going to get into that, but I just don't want to put that stuff in my body. I want to be natural, and breathing to me is the key. So here's an experiment where James Nestor, because he couldn't get people to actually do this because it was kind of dangerous, but what he did, he and another expert breather breathed through his mouth for 20 days by plugging his nose, and almost immediately he got detrimental effects. In the night they started snoring, they developed sleep apnea, blood pressure went up 15 points, they developed anxiety. So and then after that they did the opposite. So pressure in airways from nose breathing helps tongue and tones up the mouth. So for 10 days after that they did the opposite, and almost everything got good again. BP got back to normal, snoring and sleep apnea went away. So there are so many benefits to breathing that it's unbelievable, and I'm just barely touching on it here. Studies at university. So Nadi Shodhana, which is the breathing out of the 2 different sides, and I'm going to show you, that's one of the breaths I'm going to show you how to do. But studies at the university found that breathing through the right side, so the right side associated with the left brain, increased heart rate and increases logic, whereas the left side slows down heart rate. So the right nostril would be for to increase the sympathetic nervous system, and you'd want to breathe through the right nose when you're about to engage in rigorous activity. And then to calm down, you might want to breathe. And I'm not telling anybody what to do, but you might want to do the left side, because it's the Ida and Pingala. The Ida is the left, the Pingala is the right. Left's masculine, right's feminine, associated with the opposite side brains. And so, when you want to calm down, you might want to do more left nose breathing. When I do Nadi Shodhana, I do more of I just do both, and I do it about 11 times, and my breaths are very long. Another interesting point The nostrils have erectile tissue, and they engorge with blood the same way as the penis does. So, you know, and which nostril dominates switches every 30 minutes to 3 hours, and we don't know why the body does this, but the hypothesis is that the body is regulating functions, and you lose this. When you breathe through your mouth, you lose this. So mouth breathing, you get dry air, you don't get the same protection through the of the cilia in the nose. I believe there are some cilia in the lungs too, but you don't get the protection from the nose. So you get more protection when you nose breathe. Here's something that I do. And also another thing that I'm reading that you want to do, and I didn't put this in my notes, but you want to put the tongue on the roof of the mouth. It's called Kachari Mudra in yoga. But you put the, when you're breathing, you put the tongue on the roof of the mouth and you breathe. And I'll tell you what, when I breathe through my nose the entire time I run, and when I'm breathing generally, and I'm not talking or eating, I have that tongue on the. It's a habit now. I've developed it as a habit. I don't even realize I'm doing. Sometimes I'm meditate. I will do a non-seated meditation on my bed, and I won't even. I'll be like, oh, I'm doing Kachari Mudra. So even when I'm just functioning normally, I put my tongue to my roof of my mouth. You know, you can put it farther. You want it. The goal is to get it up all the way up there into that cavity, and I can kind of do that, but you know, it improves. What they found was something interesting also related to dentistry, and this is outside of my notes, is that a lot of our teeth are crooked, and we have these teeth issues because our mouths aren't growing properly, because we're not breathing properly. And in ancient times, they did anthropology, and they actually found in ancient times our jaw structures and our teeth were perfect because we were from a young age we were either taught or maybe we naturally breathe properly. So, you know, my lower teeth aren't that great, because I probably didn't breathe. I didn't breathe properly when I was a kid, because I just started breathing properly recently, and I do a lot of exercise, and I've seen people do heavy weight training. Their breathing is terrible, and you know, who knows what kind of damage, you know, they're doing. You know, they're getting their muscles big, but how's their health? So that's a side note there. So you lose, basically, when you don't breathe through your nose, you lose all these great benefits of breathing. Lung capacity usually goes down from from the age of 30 to 45, lung capacity usually goes down 50% unless you're doing yoga. So that shows, and I'm going to get to another Framingham study here, but you know, that shows the importance of lung capacity and aging. So, and there's a study. Okay, here's the study of 5,000 people at Framingham. It was a longitudinal study, and they found that the greatest indicator on longevity was not your DNA, was not your diet, was not anything other than your lung capacity. So there's a correlation between longevity and lung capacity, which again shows the importance of breathing. Heart doesn't need work as hard as hypothesized to be a reason. So lung capacity is of great, longevity and lung capacity is very interesting. Nitric oxide. In one study they put pathogens in a petri dish with nitric oxide and found that nitric oxide actually killed the pathogen. So because we have that, because we can increase our nitric oxide by nasal breathing, boom, there's one of your answers to decreasing your risk of catching any sort of a pathogen or particulate or whatever. You know, bacteria. Pathogen includes viruses and bacteria. Here's another interesting one, and I do this, and I didn't know this before, but we create nitric oxide in our noses, and by humming we can increase nitric oxide 15-fold. So humming would be like this. It's like making a bee sound. You'd go and what I like to do is I put my teeth together so I can kind of get that vibration, but that's interesting. Humming also stimulates the parasympathetic response, and it slows the breathing down. So those are interesting. Those are very interesting things. So, you know, when you're doing anything, just breathe through your nose. When you're running, when you're doing weights, when you're doing yoga. And that's the interesting thing, is that when you do these classes like yoga, you're breathing properly there. But it's so important to actually breathe properly when you every second of your life. I mean, look at all these studies and different things that we're learning. And again, James Nestor's book Breathe: The Lost Art and Science of Breathing is where I got a lot of my information from. So let me show you some of the stuff that I do. So I do it in a meditative position, and but you could do it sitting like this. And what I do is I take a fist, right? And I do it with both because sometimes one arm gets tired and I'll switch. But I take a fist and I take out these two fingers in my thumb. And then what I do, I'll close my right nose. I'll breathe in. And now I want to say the importance of learning to breathe with the diaphragm first. In this exercise, I also fill up my chest, but there are 3 parts to breathing. You get the diaphragm, then once that finishes, the lower chest, and then after that, that last little bit at the top comes from the traps. Now, you don't generally want to breathe that way because you'll cause some issues in your traps, and you'll cause issues in your chest. You'll make them tight. So you don't generally want to do that. But if you're really trying to fill up the lungs for a breathing exercise to increase lung capacity, that's what I do when I'm doing Nadi Shodhana. So make that fist. Full, deep, slow breath, as slow as you can. Start 5 seconds. Start 6 seconds in, maybe 4-second hold, 2-second hold, and then 10 seconds out, or some ratio like that. So you see, you start with the breath in on the left nose. You could start on either side. I start on my left. Breathe in, then switch. Breathe out in your right, then breathe in your right, then breathe out in your left, and keep that cycle going. That's breathing exercise number 1. And that one pretty much, even though there's the right side and the left side, when I do that, I feel very balanced and calm. The second one that I do is I practice actually holding my breath. And eventually this leads to kriyas, which are more they're more active, and they involve more Raja yoga, moving energies through your body. But this is still considered pranayama, or movement of energy. It's just not as Raja or controlled by the mind and doing stuff with the chakras. So this next one, you just start at the bottom. Remember, start at the diaphragm. Start at the lower part of the belly. Breathe in. Then when you get to the top, you're going to hold your breath. So I fill up all the way on this too. Remember one thing. Start by developing the diaphragm first before you really do these. Make sure you can do proper diaphragmatic breathing, because you don't want to develop that tightness up here. You want to learn to always breathe from your diaphragm. So when I'm not doing my conscious breathing, it's all from the diaphragm. But you breathe in, and then you hold your breath. Hold it. And then breathe out like that. So I can do about a minute to a minute and a half of holding my breath and then breathe out pretty easily. But you want to start slow. You don't want to do that right away. At first I could barely do any. Now, one of the things, I'm focusing on my out breath. And holding that, I could do that probably on a good day, 30 seconds, but 20 seconds. And then if I mix them, I could probably hold one for a minute and the other for 10 seconds, and then keep my my in-breath and out-breath pretty stable. And then the third one that I do, and this one's more of a fiery breath. This is something that I do. I do it all in one sitting because I'm just doing breath, and then I do this one last because usually I go and do my workout, my strength workout, my yoga or my run afterwards. So it's called in Chinese. It's called in Tai Chi or in the Tao. It's called Bellows Breath. I forget what it's called in yoga, but what you do is it's called the Bellows Breath. So it's like, and what I'm basically doing is when I'm breathing out, I'm contracting my diaphragm. I'm contracting my abs and moving my diaphragm up as I breathe out, and then it goes down as I breathe in, actually. So I'm doing that really fast. Now, sometimes I do it where I totally get all the air out of my lungs, so I do it like this when I'm getting all the air out. That's all the air's coming out. But sometimes I do it where I just move my diaphragm up and keep a little bit of the air in my diaphragm, so that'll sound more like this. You can kind of hear the difference. And sometimes I do Ujjayi breath and sometimes I don't. Ujjayi is when you kind of lock out the lungs and move through the back of your throat, and it makes that heavy sound like. Whereas the basic breathing goes with the normal without doing Ujjayi breath. So those are the exercises I do. But my thing is, it's great if you want to take a vaccine, if you want to wear a mask. But even if you wear a mask, why not start training yourself to breathe through the nose? And it's found that with the CO2, the carbon dioxide exchange, when you do it consciously, you're actually improving health and actually vasodilating the blood vessels. But if it's not conscious and you're not controlling your breathing, and you're just getting anxious, then it does you no good. So it's been found that you want to do it really consciously. I feel like I'm forgetting. So there was something that I wanted to say at some point, and I can't remember it. But this won't be the only breathing exercise video that I do. I'll probably do one day that's a little more structured than this. This is kind of disorganized. But I wanted to get this across and get some of my research across to my viewers and tell you that, here's one thing. So think about it. You eat once, twice, 3, maybe 6. I used to eat 6 times a day when I did the bodybuilding stuff. But you breathe, and then you need water. So you need to eat once. There are people that fast for 40 days. Water, what is it, 7 to 10 days? But you need to breathing. How long can you go without that? Well, maybe a long time if you practice. But the most important thing to your vital functioning, more than anything, is your breath. So why aren't we focused on breathing? Why isn't the medical community talking about all these benefits? And by the way, I hope you guys read that book, Breathe, because it's way more expansive, and I know I'm forgetting stuff here. But I just want to get this across to you and plant something in people's mind and express my research. And I hope you take it further than me, and you're always welcome. Like I always say, if I get anything wrong or you have something to add to this, please let me know. It's about truth and freedom to me. And one of the most important things that you can do is breath. And they're making you put something over your face that screws up your breath. So it doesn't, I just don't get it. And I know a lot of people disagree with me, and that's fine. I respect that. And you have the right to do what you want. But I think if we mandated breathing, we would be a lot better. If we mandated proper breathing, and I know that's hard to do, we would be a lot better off than mandating masks. I guarantee you that. And I can't prove that. I can't verify that. And I can't really guarantee it. But you know what I'm saying. Hypothetically or not hypothetically, but I almost guarantee you that we would be better off if we were mandated proper breathing. And God forbid we be mandated proper breathing, proper exercise, and proper nutrition. God forbid. Then we wouldn't have to shell out all this money to the medical industrial complex, and we wouldn't need all these drugs and stuff. But anyway, that's it. That's a wrap. Hope you enjoyed. Have a good day.